Cybercrime, with its damaging consequences, is on the rise, and no bank can rest easy. In this next chapter, Caitriona Whelan, who is Head of Compliance and Controls for Payments at Royal Bank of Scotland, says that keeping a bank safe is a matter of having the right people, the right processes, and the right technology. So Caitriona, cybercrime is on the rise. What sort of risks do banks face in a world where we're seeing cybercrime things come along almost every couple of weeks?
Well, the number one risk, Brian, is a customer impact. What we've seen, I guess, in the market is that, particularly when banks are attacked, it is the customer that actually loses, is the main impact, because effectively it's the customer data that these cyber criminals are after. That is compounded then from a bank's perspective when we face reputational risk. It throws out a lot of questions as to the security within the environment we work in. So then, of course, there's a run within the bank to ensure that we strengthen our resilience, and that in itself requires investment. So it has a domino effect throughout the banking industry. But number one is to ensure that we limit the impact on our customers.
All right, and how can banks do that then?
Well, in a number of ways. So it's threefold in terms, from my perspective. We're looking at people, we're looking at processes, and we're looking at technology. If we take technology in the first instance, we need to, generally within the industry, need to continuously innovate to ensure that we can mitigate the risk. We'll never actually be able to predict what these criminals are going to do, but technology in itself, investment in technology, investment in innovative products to ensure that there is sufficient security processes, encryption, the gateways are secure. I think also from a society perspective, international standards, I think, will help. Such that there's protocols which allow us to speak to one another across industry, so that we can ensure that if there's any whiff of an attack hitting that it's
which is something that banks haven't liked to do, have they? They don't really like to cooperate in that way, but you're saying that they've got to change their approach.
I believe they do. I believe that this is, from a competitive perspective, that needs to be put aside. I think from a society perspective, we all need to be protected, and particularly if you're a customer of a bank. We're seeing it more and more. The industry is working together and in conjunction with the regulators and various different organisations across the world, including the various police authorities, etc. So I am a firm believer that it is a case of we set aside our competitive requirements and we work together.
So now on the technology front, I mean, it's changing all the time, isn't it? So you're almost running to stand still.
Unfortunately, yes, and there is a reason for that, Brian. We don't think like criminals. If we did, we would be ahead of them. It's another reason why we should work together, pool our resources together, ensure that we share the innovation, particularly around mitigating the risk. That is the best we can do, is actually mitigate, to limit the impact on our customers.
All right, and it's not just about technology, isn't it? It's also about processes and people and getting sort of basic things right. So tell us a little bit about those.
So when you think about it from a people perspective, we need to know who we hire. We need to know who we let into our building. It sounds very simple, but actually, even in 2016, research has shown that the biggest threat to any industry is actually internally. And so from a people perspective, I'm a firm believer in ensuring that our onboarding process, actually from an interviewing process right through to onboarding, that we know who we're dealing with. We actually know our employee as much as we know our customer. From a process perspective, enterprise risk management is fundamental. We need to have adequate controls in place. So we're talking about encryption, we're talking about gateway access rights, and that's where the investment comes as well. So it's a combination of people, processes, and technology. And we have to make continuous investment. This isn't something that we can invest in for the next 5 years and think that that's going to resolve the issue. That is not going to. That just won't make it go away.
Caitriona, plenty of challenges ahead. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.